Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk all things Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and today's report includes the Steelers get an ugly but exciting win in D.C., a key Steelers defensive player suffers a gruesome injury, Yoel Blomqvist and the Pens get a big win against the Caps, and more. As always, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the first news story of the day. The Steelers get an ugly but exciting win in DC. Happy Victory Monday, Steelers Nation, as yesterday the Pittsburgh Steelers got a massive win over the up-and-coming Washington Commanders, 28-27. The game was filled with mistakes, miscommunications, and penalties for the black and gold, but somehow, someway, they escaped with the victory. The game started with a defensive stalemate. Both teams exchanged multiple 3-and-outs in the first quarter, but the Steelers had a 16-yard TD pass where George Pickens made an amazing body-contorting catch. However, in the same quarter, the Commanders responded with a touchdown after the Steelers failed to convert what was a perfect call for a fake punt pass on 4th and long in their own territory. That critical error by the Steelers gave Washington a jolt on offense, and the Commanders went into halftime leading 17-14. In the third quarter, the two teams each had a rushing touchdown right out of half, but Washington added on another field goal. After making some untimely mistakes with a Russell Wilson INT and a Jaylen Warren goal line fumble, the Steelers rose up in the biggest moments. After the Warren fumble, the defense stood their ground against Washington's offense to get the ball back. With 5:46 left in the game, a 6-play drive culminated by a 32-yard touchdown pass gave the Steelers a 1-point lead. Who caught that 32-yard touchdown pass? None other than newly acquired wide receiver Mike Williams. With the game on the line, the Steelers defense made another stop, just barely keeping Commanders tight end Zach Ertz from crossing the first down marker on 4th down. In the final moments of the game, the Steelers offense just needed one first down to secure victory, and they did so in incredible fashion, getting Commanders rookie defensive tackle Jerzon Newton to jump off sides on a 4th down hard count by Russell Wilson. This was the ugliest game that the Steelers have played this year, but through all the adversity, self-inflicted and otherwise, both sides of the ball came through in crunch time. With that, here are some MVPs from the Steelers' victory. The first MVP of the game is wide receiver George Pickens. Pickens had 5 receptions for 91 yards and a touchdown. That TD catch will be on Pickens' highlight reel for a while, as it was a perfect combination of body control and hand-eye coordination. Should Pickens start seeking a contract extension with the Steelers next offseason, he might just tell Omar Khan to turn on the tape from this Commanders game and bump up his asking price. The second MVP goes to someone in the same room as Pickens in the newly acquired Mike Williams. Williams, after being with the team for 5 days, only played 9 snaps in the game. But, as the saying goes, it's not about how many chances you get, it's about what you do with them. On his 9th and final snap, Williams beat the corner down the sideline and made a great over-the-shoulder catch for the game-winning touchdown. Maybe the best part about his touchdown is that Williams told reporters post-game that he didn't run that route once in practice leading up to this game. All it took was 9 snaps for Mike Williams to go from the doghouse in New York to the penthouse in Pittsburgh. And by the way, Williams scored the same amount of points as the entire Jets offense on Sunday. And the third and final MVP for this game is going to be split between 2 players on defense. The first player is linebacker Patrick Queen, who had his best game in a Steelers uniform. Queen led the team with 7 total tackles, 6 of which were solo, and 2 of which were fantastic tackles for loss. After a slow start to the year, it was great to see Queen settle in, and he looked like the guy the Steelers gave big money to this offseason. Maybe part of the motivation for Queen's game was seeing his LSU Tigers get blown out by Alabama the night before. The second player for the final MVP spot is defensive lineman Cam Hayward. Captain Cam had 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss, constantly making his presence felt in the Commanders' backfield. Everyone in Steelers Nation wants to have an argument over what the biggest move from this past offseason was, but probably the most underrated yet most important move was extending Cam. Following an injury-riddled season last year, Hayward has reverted back to his all-pro self. Looking at this game as a whole, the Steelers have a lot of things to work on, but at least we now know that when push comes to shove, they can come through in the clutch. With this win, the Steelers remain atop the AFC North, but will begin a 4-game slate of divisional matchups, starting with a head-to-head battle for first place against the Baltimore Ravens at home next weekend. A key Steelers defensive player suffers a gruesome injury. The biggest negative from yesterday's victory against the Commanders probably wasn't even a penalty that someone made or any other playing error. Instead, it was an injury to one of the Steelers' key players on defense. With just over 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Alex Highsmith flushed Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels out of the pocket to the right. While chasing Daniels, he went to bring the quarterback down as he got rid of the ball. In doing so, Highsmith's left foot landed on top of Daniels' left foot. The landing caused Highsmith to roll his ankle in what was a nasty-looking injury. The edge rusher was in excruciating pain, taking his helmet off and yelling in agony. After being attended to on the field by the medical staff, Highsmith was helped off the field and did not put any pressure on his left leg. After the game, reporters confirmed that Highsmith was seen leaving the locker room on crutches. This is a huge loss for the Steelers defense, as Highsmith this year has been excellent blitzing off the right edge and stifling the opposition's running game. This is also the second injury that Highsmith has suffered, as he missed multiple weeks with a groin injury earlier this season. Omar Khan's contingency plan at outside linebacker will now be put to the test. Khan traded for Green Bay Packers edge rusher Preston Smith at the trade deadline, and Smith, in his first game for the Steelers on Sunday, recorded 3 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. Also, as Highsmith goes down, the Steelers are scheduled to get back Nick Herbig next weekend from a hamstring injury. Other Steelers injured against the Commanders include corner Dante Jackson, who didn't return after suffering a hamstring injury, and running back Najee Harris, who did finish the game with an ankle injury. An update on Highsmith's condition, as well as others who had injuries on Sunday, will most likely be given in Mike Tomlin's press conference on Tuesday. Wishing a speedy recovery to Alex Highsmith. A former first-round pick is released by the Steelers. Before Sunday's game against the Commanders, the Steelers made the following roster transactions. The black and gold activated linebacker Tyler Matakevich and wide receiver Ben Skoranek from injured reserve. Both players played on Sunday against the Commanders and contributed on special teams, especially Skoranek, who recovered a muff punt in the first half, which led to a touchdown. With these 2 activations, running back Jonathan Ward, as well as former first-round pick for the Steelers from 2018, safety Terrell Edmunds, were released from the active roster. Edmunds returned to the Steelers earlier this season after short stints with 3 other teams. The former first-rounder was mainly used in the Steelers' dime defense, but with the return of Cam Sutton and soon Corey Trice, Edmunds was expendable. I expect both Ward and Edmunds to return to the Steelers' practice squad. Yoel Blomqvist and the Pens get a big win against the Caps. Before the Steelers beat the Commanders on Sunday, the Penguins began Pittsburgh's winning ways in Washington, defeating the Washington Capitals on Friday night 4-2. The Pens potted a pair of early goals from 2 players who have been underwhelmed by head coach Mike Sullivan this year in defenseman Erik Karlsson and forward Michael Bunting. Karlsson contributed on both goals and played his best game of the season, while Bunting got his tipping goal as a product of his hard work. After the hot start, the game turned into a battle of the goaltenders between the Capitals' Charlie Lindgren and the Penguins' Yoel Blomqvist. Both netminders traded grade A saves throughout the game, but the Caps picked up 2 tallies along the way to tie the game heading into the third period. Even after blowing another 2-goal lead, Blomqvist stood on his head, allowing Evgeny Malkin to bury the go-ahead goal halfway through the period. Tack on the empty netter from Noel Acciari, and the Penguins walked out of DC with their first divisional dub of the season. Without a doubt, Blomqvist was the player of the game, as the 22-year-old stopped 32 of 34 shots from the high-power Capitals offense. I speak for all Penguins fans when I say that this kid cannot be sent down to the AHL right now. Yes, Tristan Jarry is due back from his conditioning stint, but in 7 appearances, this kid has shown flashes of being the Penguins' future in net over both Jarry and Nedeljkovic. If the Pens need to carry 3 goalies on their roster for now, then so be it, because Blomqvist has earned his right to stay in the NHL. All in all, Friday night's matchup was well played and, dare I say, well coached by the Pens. Hopefully it's a sign that things are turning around, and maybe the Penguins can get on a hot streak to climb out of this early season hole. And finally, the Penguins make multiple roster moves. Since Friday afternoon, the Pittsburgh Penguins have made a flurry of roster moves. On Friday, forward Brian Rust was activated from injured reserve, and forward Cody Glass was placed on IR. Glass left the Pens' Friday night game against the Hurricanes with a concussion, and Rust played Friday night against the Capitals. On Saturday, the conditioning loan of goaltender Tristan Jarry expired, and he was recalled from the AHL. Ironically, forward Matt Nieto was sent down on a conditioning loan. Jari was 4-0 in 4 games for Wilkes-Barre and will return to the NHL, where the Pens will carry 3 goalies for the time being. The final pair of roster moves came this Monday morning, as forward Kevin Hayes was put on IR with a week-to-week upper body injury, and forward Sam Poulin, who has 9 points in 11 games for Wilkes-Barre this season, was recalled. The Penguins return to action tonight when they host the Dallas Stars. Yoel Blomqvist will be in net tonight for the Penguins, with Alex Nedeljkovic as backup, so Tristan Jarry will be a healthy scratch for his first game back in the NHL. There will also be no Sam Poulin in the lineup tonight, according to the line rushes from this morning's skate. Interestingly enough, the Pens will be putting Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin back on their own lines. Puck drop for tonight's game is scheduled for 7:07 p.m. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for a Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report. Again, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Before I log off for the day, I want to say thank you and happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans, especially my grandfather who served in the Marines during the Vietnam War. Thank you, Pap. I love you. And thank you to all our other veterans for all you have done for this great country. With that, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow with some more Pittsburgh sports news.